I wasn't supposed to take the job. That's the part I keep coming back to, because everything that happened after, the tanks, the creatures, the rules, it all traces back to one decision I made in a quiet office with no windows. The offer came through a private contractor, no company name, no location listed, just a salary that didn't make sense for a veterinarian. Specialized aquatic care, the recruiter told me. Remote facility, high security clearance required. What kind of animals? I asked. There was a pause. Unusual ones. I should have walked out. Instead, I signed the contract. The flight to the Philippines was normal, commercial, no escorts, no special treatment. But when I landed, that's when things changed. A man in a gray uniform met me at the gate. No badge, no name, just a tablet with my photo on it. Dr. Reyes? That's me. Come with me. We didn't go through the main exit. We went down a service corridor, through a restricted door, and onto a private transport vehicle waiting on the tarmac. No one spoke during the drive, not the driver, not the man beside me, not me. We drove for nearly an hour along the coast before turning off onto a narrow road that shouldn't have been there. The jungle closed in quickly, thick, silent. Then the facility appeared. It was built into the side of a cliff overlooking the ocean, concrete and steel, half of it above ground. The rest, I'd learn later, was below, much further below. Inside, the air smelled like salt and antiseptic. The man handed me a key card. You'll be briefed now. The briefing room was small. One table, one chair, one folder. Inside the folder were no animal profiles, no species names, just photographs. The first image made my stomach tighten. A long, eel-like creature coiled inside a reinforced tank. Its body was translucent. You could see organs moving inside it, but they weren't arranged like any fish I'd ever studied. The second image showed something worse. A creature with a flattened body like a ray, but with multiple eyes spread across its back, all open, all looking in different directions. The third image. I closed the folder. What are these? I asked. The man across from me finally spoke. They're your patients. I was led down to the lower levels. The elevator didn't have buttons, just a keycard scanner. When the doors opened, the temperature dropped immediately. Cold, wet. The sound hit next. Water. Everywhere. Massive tanks lined the corridor. Reinforced glass. Steel frames. Each one filled with dark seawater, and inside them, movement. Before you begin, the man said, there are procedures you must follow. He handed me a laminated sheet, not medical guidelines. Rules, facility rules, Aquatic Care Unit 1. Do not tap on the glass of any tank. 2. Do not maintain eye contact with any specimen longer than 5 seconds. 3. If a tank appears empty, it is not. Move on. 4. Do not enter feeding cycles unless instructed. 5. If you hear knocking from inside a tank, do not respond. 6. If any specimen mimics human behavior, report immediately. 7. Never open a tank alone. 8. If the lights flicker red, leave the unit immediately. I looked up. You're serious? The man didn't smile. They're not animals in the way you understand. My first patient was Tank 12, the eel-like creature from the photograph. Up close, it was worse. Its body wasn't just translucent. It was shifting. Organs moving, rearranging, like it didn't have a fixed anatomy. I stepped closer. The creature's head turned toward me. No eyes, just a smooth surface. Then, a shape formed beneath the skin. 2 dark spots. Eyes, forming as it watched me. I stepped back. Rule 2. No eye contact longer than 5 seconds. Too late. The creature pressed itself against the glass. Its body flattened slightly. The surface of it rippled. Then something inside its form shifted again, a shape pushed outward from within, a mouth. It opened slowly, and I heard something, not through the water, through the glass, through the air, a faint sound, like someone trying to speak underwater. I stepped away, heart pounding. Next tank, I muttered. Tank 14 was labeled differently. Observation required. Inside was the ray-like creature. Its body floated just above the tank floor. Dozens of eyes blinked across its back, each one focusing independently. I circled the tank slowly, trying not to stare too long, trying to assess. Then one of the eyes blinked and didn't open again. I frowned. A symptom? I stepped closer. The rest of the eyes turned toward me at once, all of them, locking onto my face. I froze. Rule 2. Too late again. The water in the tank rippled. The creature rose slightly. Its underside shifted, and something there opened. Not a mouth, something deeper, and from inside, a voice, clear, perfect, human. Doctor. I stumbled back. No. The creature's eyes blinked in unison. Help me. The lights flickered. Not red, just a warning. I looked around. The corridor was empty. The man who brought me here was gone. The facility was quiet. Too quiet. The voice came again. From the tank. Please. I turned to the rules. Rule 6. If any specimen mimics human behavior, report immediately. I reached for my radio. Then the knocking started, from somewhere down the corridor. Slow, deliberate. Knock, knock, knock. I froze. Rule 5. Do not respond. The knocking came again, closer this time, from the tank beside me, then another, from the one behind me, then all of them, knocking, in rhythm, the same pattern. Knock, knock, knock. The ray creature's eyes all turned toward the sound, then back to me, and it spoke again. Doctor. This time, it said my name. For a second, I couldn't breathe. Hearing your name in a place like that, deep underground, surrounded by things that shouldn't exist, does something to your brain. It makes everything feel closer, personal. I stared at the tank. You don't know my name? The creature didn't move its body, but every eye across its back narrowed slightly, then blinked, all at once. Yes, it said calmly. I do. The knocking spread, not just one tank, all of them, up and down the corridor, different rhythms overlapping, some fast, some slow, but all of them deliberate, communicating. The water in the tanks began to ripple in sync with the sound, like something beneath the facility was answering. I backed away from tank 14. My radio crackled in my hand. Static. Then a voice, the same man from before. Dr. Reyes. Yeah, I said quickly. Something's happening down here. I know. The lights flickered again. This time, red, Rule 8. If the lights flicker red, leave the unit immediately. I didn't hesitate. I turned and started down the corridor, but I only made it a few steps before I stopped, because the hallway wasn't the same anymore. The tanks, some of them were empty, or at least they looked empty. Dark water, no movement, nothing visible. Rule 3. If a tank appears empty, it is not. Move on. I forced myself not to look too closely, and kept moving. The knocking stopped, all at once. Silence flooded the corridor, the kind of silence that feels louder than noise. Then, a splash. Behind me. I turned. I shouldn't have, but I did. Tank 12. The eel-like creature. The tank was empty. Completely. No movement. No shape. Just water. My chest tightened. No. The surface of the water bulged. Then something pressed against the inside of the glass, from the wrong side. From the air, a long, translucent shape dragged itself across the exterior of the tank. The creature had left the water. It was on the glass, on the outside. Its body shifted, reforming, trying to stabilize itself in open air. The surface of it rippled. Then, a face pushed outward. My face, distorted, incomplete, but close enough. It opened its mouth and spoke. Doctor. I ran. The corridor stretched longer than it had before, lights flickering red overhead, alarms starting somewhere deeper in the facility, but muffled, like the sound couldn't fully travel down here. I reached the elevator, swiped the key card. Nothing. Swiped again. Still nothing. The radio crackled. Doctor. Yeah, I'm at the elevator. It's not responding. Do not use the elevator. My stomach dropped. Then how do I get out? A pause. Then, you don't. Something moved behind me, multiple things. The tanks along the corridor began to shift, water sloshing violently, shapes pressing against the glass. Then, cracks, not breaking, just stress, like the glass was being tested from the inside. Listen carefully, the voice on the radio said. They're reacting to you. What does that mean? It means they've identified you. I looked back down the corridor. The eel creature was gone from the tank. The ray creature's eyes were all pressed against the glass now, watching, every other tank, moving, alive, focused. The voice lowered. They don't see you as a caretaker. My grip tightened on the radio. Then what do they see me as? Another pause. Then, a key. The lights flickered harder. The red glow deepened. The knocking started again. But this time, it wasn't coming from the tanks. It was coming from the walls, from the floor, from below. Something massive shifted beneath the facility. The entire structure groaned. I stumbled back against the wall. What is under us? The voice didn't answer right away. Then it said quietly, the reason this place exists. The floor in the middle of the corridor cracked. Water began seeping up through it, dark, cold, deep, and from that water, something began to rise. The creatures in the tanks went still, every single one of them, watching the crack, watching what was coming up, even the ones that had been trying to break free. They stopped, as if something more important had arrived. The eel creature slid along the wall behind me, the version of my face still forming and collapsing across its surface. The ray creature pressed itself flat against the glass, every eye locked forward. The water in the floor split open, and something emerged, slowly, massively, a shape too large to fully see in the corridor, but I saw enough. A surface, dark, ridged, ancient, and embedded in that surface, eyes, dozens of them, opening. The voice on the radio whispered, "Don't let it see you." I didn't move. I didn't breathe. The massive thing beneath the facility rose higher, water flooding the corridor around it. The creatures in the tanks stayed completely still, silent, respectful, afraid. And then one of its eyes turned and looked directly at me. Everything in my body locked up. You hear people talk about fear like it's adrenaline, like it makes you move faster, think clearer. That's not what this was. This was the opposite. It was like something reached inside my chest and held everything still. The eye didn't blink, didn't move. It just looked at me. And the longer it did, the quieter everything became. The alarms faded. The red lights dimmed. Even the sound of the water flooding the corridor seemed to drop away. All I could hear was my own breathing, and even that started to feel distant, like it wasn't mine anymore. The voice on the radio came through faintly. "Doctor, do not engage." I couldn't respond. The eye shifted slightly, not away, closer, like it was focusing, adjusting, studying. Then something impossible happened. The surface of the water around the creature stilled completely. Flat, perfect, like glass. And in that reflection, I saw something that wasn't the corridor. I saw another place, endless water, black, deeper than anything I'd ever imagined, and shapes moving far below, massive, slow, watching upward, watching me. The eye in front of me narrowed slightly, and the voice came, not from the radio, not from the tanks, from inside my head, clear, ancient, heavy. "You are new." My jaw clenched. The word barely left my mouth, because the moment I tried to speak, the pressure in my skull spiked, like something didn't want me to use my voice. The creature's eyes shifted again. "You are not from here." The eel creature behind me slid closer, its body brushing the wall, my distorted reflection forming again across its surface. But this time, it wasn't speaking. It was waiting. The voice in my head continued, "You are not contained." The water around my boots rose another inch. Cold, unnaturally cold. The tanks behind the creature began to hum softly, every specimen inside them completely still, listening. The radio crackled again, panicked this time. "Dr. Reyes, listen to me. Do not let it classify you." My stomach dropped. "What does that mean?" No answer, just static. The massive eye blinked once, slow, deliberate. "You are not understood." The pressure in my head increased. Images flooded in again. The deep water, the shapes below, the feeling of something vast trying to make sense of something small, of me. Then, the voice changed. "You will be." The eel creature behind me twitched. The ray creature's eyes all blinked at once. The tanks began vibrating, not violently, but in agreement. The floor beneath me shifted, the water rose higher, and something else began forming in the reflection around the creature. Not the deep ocean this time, something closer. The facility, but not as it was, as it would be. The tanks open, the creatures moving freely. The corridors flooded, the structure no longer containing anything, but connected, linked, alive. I staggered back. No, you're not getting out." The eye didn't react. "Containment is temporary." The eel creature finally spoke again, using my voice, perfect now, clear. "You brought him here." I turned slightly. "What?" The creature tilted its head. "You opened the system." The realization hit me all at once. The rules, the behaviors, the way they had been watching me, testing me. They weren't just being contained, they were being studied. And now, they had something new to study, something that didn't belong to their environment, something they didn't understand. Me. The voice returned. You will help us adapt. The water surged. The floor cracked further. The massive shape beneath the facility rose higher, more eyes opening across its surface, all of them turning toward me. The radio screamed to life. Doctor, run! This time, my body listened. I turned and ran straight into the flooding corridor. Behind me, the water exploded upward. The containment unit began to fail. The tanks started cracking, and something ancient that had never been meant to leave the deep had just decided it was ready to learn the surface. The corridor was already gone. Water filled it to my knees in seconds, slamming against the walls as if something massive was pushing from behind. I ran anyway. You don't think in moments like that. You react. Every step felt heavier as the water climbed. Knees, thighs, waist. The current dragged at me, pulling backward, trying to turn me around. Behind me, the glass finally gave. A sound like thunder ripped through the facility. One tank, then another, then all of them. Shattering. Water surged forward in a violent wave. I was thrown off my feet and slammed into the wall. My head rang. The radio tore free from my hand and disappeared into the flood. I grabbed onto a railing, pulling myself upright. The corridor wasn't a corridor anymore. It was a channel, a living current of seawater and something else moving through it, shapes, everywhere. The eel creature shot past me, its body fully formed now, no longer struggling in the air. It moved like it belonged here, like it had always been waiting for this moment. The ray-like creature followed, gliding through the water with terrifying ease, its eyes all open, all scanning, and deeper in the flood, larger shapes, unseen but felt. I forced myself forward. There had to be another way out. There always is. Facilities like this never rely on one exit. They plan for failure. They just don't plan for this kind. The hallway split ahead, one path leading deeper, the other, up, a stairwell, half submerged. I took it. The climb was brutal, water pouring down from above, each step fighting gravity and current at the same time. My lungs burned, my legs shook, but I kept going, because behind me, something was following. Not fast, not chasing, just rising. The pressure returned, inside my skull, that voice. You are leaving. I gritted my teeth. Yeah. The voice didn't sound angry, didn't sound concerned. It sounded curious. You will return. No. The water surged again. The stairwell trembled. Something massive shifted below. You are connected now. That made me stop, just for a second. What does that mean? Silence. Then, you have seen. The pressure eased, slightly, but not gone. Never gone. I reached the top of the stairwell, a reinforced hatch, manual override. I slammed my hand against the release. It didn't move. I hit it again, harder, still nothing. The water climbed higher behind me, chest level now, the current pulling stronger. Come on. The hatch creaked, shifted, then gave. I shoved it open and pulled myself through, rolling onto solid ground, air, warm, dry. For a moment, I just lay there, breathing, alive. Then I heard it. Not water, not alarms, not anything from the facility. The ocean. I pushed myself up and looked ahead. The upper-level corridor was empty, lights flickering, emergency systems barely holding. I stumbled forward toward the exit doors, threw them open, and stepped outside. The night air hit me like a shock. Salt, wind, real. But the ocean was wrong. The surface wasn't moving naturally. It was rising, not in waves, in sections. Large, slow bulges pushing upward like something underneath was lifting it from below. I staggered to the edge of the cliff and looked down. The water split. Something enormous moved just beneath the surface, far larger than anything I had seen inside the facility. The thing below, the one with all those eyes, it wasn't fully out yet, but it was close. The water broke, and for a brief moment, I saw it. Not its full shape, just a portion, a ridge of something ancient and massive breaking through the surface. And along that ridge, rows of eyes, opening, one by one. The same pressure hit my skull again, but weaker now, distant. We rise. I stumbled back from the edge. The facility behind me groaned. The lower levels were gone, completely flooded. Whatever had been contained there was no longer contained, and out in the ocean, more shapes began to surface. Not just one, dozens, smaller than the main one, but still massive, still wrong. I stood there, soaked, shaking, staring at the water, And I realized something that made everything worse. This wasn't an escape. It was a release. The facility wasn't built to keep them in. It was built to study them, to understand them, to prepare. But something had changed. Something they didn't account for. Me. Because now, they didn't just know the deep. They didn't just know the facility. They knew the surface. And somewhere beneath the waves, that ancient thing was still watching, still learning, still adapting.